Hey guys, and welcome back to Making Spirituality Real with Jade. Since recently the climate of plagues and diseases is trendy, I want to talk to you today about something that I believe is the true plague of our time. And that is something that I like to call quick fixes. So, how to sum up this phenomenon in short? It's basically our urge and belief that long, often complicated, very deep-rooted issues can be fixed with a snap of your finger. And the problem is that that of course is false, because the deeper the issue, the more complex, the bigger, the more widespread some phenomenon is, the more time it requires for the situation to be rectified. So what happens? What happens is that there are those who realize that they're going to have a hard time selling a product or a service to people if they tell the truth. If the truth would look something like, well, if you do work on your part and if you struggle for a prolonged period of time, eventually what I give you, the extra help I give you might yield results. But the thing is that if you hear that, you are not really that motivated to buy or purchase this good or service on the spot, right? Because what you want to hear is, this miracle is going to fix your life in 5 seconds the moment you get it. So give us your money, because you're going to get paid back with an immediate fix of this thing that you dream of fixing, right? Except that that of course is a lie. The truth is a little closer to what I said before, that this is truly how most things in this universe work, because the cure to any problem we have, be that mental, psychological, or emotional, in most cases lies inside us. There are some exceptions to this. Let's say you broke a bone and you don't know how to take care of a bone that has to grow together. You're not a doctor, of course you have to go to a doctor to deal with your broken bone. You may need to ask for help if you're distressed psychologically, from a friend, from a psychologist, from a therapist, from a spiritual coach, astrologer, tarot reader, which is why I do what I do for a living, because I acknowledge the importance of counseling and helping others. But in truth, while of course I and others, we are here to prod you in the right direction, to act as a crutch, sooner or later you're going to have to learn to walk without this crutch, or you're going to be disabled forever, if you know what I mean. Like, just the goal of any recovery is to learn by yourself to stand on your own, which is I think what scares most people about whenever they have any sort of problem, is that they realize deep down that there is a deep loneliness to dealing with things, and that on some level we have to deal with things on our own. And this is, yes, like I said, it's terrifying. It's terrifying, but it's both terrifying and also promising. Promising, liberating, and ultimately powerful, because that means that only you can make or break yourself. That means that no one, to some extent, can ever truly, fully destroy who you are without your help. And I know that when you have been through a lot of hard stuff, this sounds not believable, and like, I really get you. You know, I'm also only human, and so often we tend to blaming others, and we tend to look at them, pointing the finger, being like, you did this. And yeah, sure, sometimes they did, but still, it is up to us to find the fix to the situation. So how did quick fixes become such a problem in nowadays society? The answer to this, I believe, is our technological advancement, which is, it's very sad, because there are so many upsides to that. The fact that the world is now connected, that I can share with you like this, that we can see the whole world from our home, from our computers. But the downside is that this also allows us for a very high level of trickery and deception that requires considerable efforts to verify, and the willingness to verify them in the first place, which many people simply don't have, because they feel more comfortable living with the illusion. Let's face it, we all have some illusions that we tell ourselves simply to survive or to feel okay. But I think this really has gone to a new level in nowadays society. Now, let me tell you why. The concept, the idea that you can benefit on people's willingness to deal with problems in a very fast way is not new. Let's look at the Middle Ages. What used to happen at the time is that the church had a lot of power in the world, which was, well, Europe back at the time, and it was very widespread to, for example, sell so-called organs of so-called saints, or even such things as like putting water from a nearby stream and saying that this is a tear of some person who is saint and thus is going to cure your whole life, or like putting even air into a bottle and saying that this air was breathed by some famous saint, worshipped religious figure. So the concept of calming people, like I said, is not new. It dates back hundreds, even thousands of years. But what back then used to be based on pure superstition, because this was of course purely a placebo effect. If anything even happened, this person strongly believed in the fact that when they receive this hoax is going to work. Nowadays, however, it has gotten so much worse, at least when it comes to curing physical ailments, because we have medication. And medication is a band-aid that actually does provoke symptoms in our body. Why is this so much more scary? Because back at the time, okay, yes, you could lose your money if you fell for the hoax of buying holy water, which in fact was water from the nearby stream, but essentially it wouldn't harm you unless it was contaminated, or like, you know, a vial of air would not harm you either. But the thing is that the things we ingest nowadays, they actually work, they actually have effects on you, but they just don't work the way you think they are supposed to work. What happens is that, yes, they do affect your body, but instead of fixing the root cause, the point of anything you take is to make you addicted to it. They damage your body so that it can no longer function without the substance you're ingesting. And this is the truth with painkillers, antidepressants, mood stabilizers, any kind of medication that you're supposed to be taking on a regular basis. I understand that there are some people who have some really serious conditions, and that, for example, using antibiotics has helped people combat various infections. So I'm not saying that, you know, that sometimes it has not helped in some way. I understand that there are situations and conditions that I know nothing about, and sometimes, you know, some people do what they have to do to survive, and when you are in pain, the only thing that you can sometimes think of is for the pain to stop. And I know how it feels. I've been there, sometimes I'm still there. So I just know how pain can trigger you in ways that really encourage you to go to the extreme because you feel like you can't survive it. And I know how this kind of experience can be crippling and how it can affect your life. Like I said, I've done it. But the thing is that anything of the sort that you ingest or you take that fixes the problem in the short term only prolongs it for you to deal with the problem for real in the long term. Why? Because if you keep putting on this band-aid, if you, like, imagine that you have a physical wound and then you put on the first band-aid, but then the wound is still seeping through, so you put another band-aid, a bigger one, on top of it, and then you just grow with this layer of band-aids because you don't want to look at the true wound, and underneath all those band-aids the wound is festering. So this in truth makes it unable for you to start the true process of healing, because you have to rip off all those band-aids and actually look at this wound and disinfect it and just give it time to heal, while of course making sure that it stays clean. This is essentially what happens to us nowadays, both psychologically and physically. We want to cure the symptoms of the cold without asking ourselves why we got the cold in the first place. We prefer to hear the answer that a magical pill is going to make us healthy and fine again, while instead we should be hearing that we should make a permanent change that includes eating fruits and vegetables permanently through the rest of our lives. It really is scary how widespread this has become, and I think the situation we are in right now proves this and shows this more than ever. This is the true plague of nowadays society. We want to treat symptoms of the cold without asking ourselves why we got sick in the first place. We want to treat anxiety without asking ourselves why are we anxious in the first place. We want to treat the symptoms without looking at the root cause because it would require delving too deep into the problem. One of the reasons for that might be that it really might feel too painful sometimes, which is why we might delay doing that, and I get that, I've been there. But what I want to address in this video is not the fact that we are trying to somehow avoid the pain because we can't cope with it, but more an automated mechanism that is so ingrained in our mass consciousness that it has become okay, and it has become the number one socially approved solution to cover up the problem with a blanket, so you can go back and pretend that nothing is happening. This is something that really scares me. That scares me more than the situation we are in nowadays, frankly. Because what's happening right now is that the situation is being blown up, it's all over the media, everyone knows it's a problem, everyone talks about it like it's a problem. It's out there in the light, you can see it. You can see it when you look through your window and you see less people than usual because almost nobody is going out. But what I'm talking about is something that no one talks about. In fact, it's something that's encouraged. Imagine that this virus is running around, people will be encouraged to go out, get sick, and then contaminate others so that as many people die as possible. And yet this is exactly what's happening. Just because someone is not dead physically, the body is not yet in the coffin, does not mean that there are not other kinds of death that can happen to you. And the worst death that can happen to you is not the death of the physical body, but the death of your soul. And this is what this process is doing to us. So I want to use the situation that objectively, of course, is a problem if there are actual people dying, but when this stops one day, which it will, we don't know when, but one day it will, I want you to use these moments to remember the situation, to realize when you go back to your normal daily routine of work, there are other problems, worse problems, that nobody is addressing and that no one is talking about. And that, worst of all, you are not addressing inside yourself because you are too busy putting on a band-aid or covering it up with a blanket not to look at it. I would like this crisis to change the way we think in realizing that the best thing you can do when there is a deep-rooted, complicated problem is to deal with it as soon as possible in your life, to start looking at the root cause and delving to the source. Again, a very nice metaphor with the current situation. Those countries who had the highest death toll, who have the most problems right now, are those who ignored the problem at the very beginning, are those who were pretending that nothing is happening and were covering it up with the metaphorical band-aid of nothing is really happening. And this, I believe, is an excellent metaphor for how our society has been constructed. The problem goes much deeper than the current scary, albeit temporary situation that we are in right now. And I would like to use this time for everyone to look inside themselves and start healing. What is healing? Healing is a deep and often painful process that takes time, patience, efforts, regularity, and consistency. As sad as it might sound, we have forgotten what healing is nowadays. We don't know how to heal ourselves anymore, and we have forgotten we all have, both individually and globally, a power to heal ourselves. And I would like this situation to remind us of that. How in this situation it was visible that joint efforts plus individual efforts have done more than temporary superficial quick fixes ever could. I would like people to take this experience with them when the situation is over and not forget how it was when they were truly coming together and helping each other. There is a very high possibility that you can work right now. Some people can work from home, but not everyone has a possibility to work remotely. I am blessed in such a way that as a YouTuber and a tarot reader and an astrologer, I work from home anyway, so as this kind of freelancer, my work continues. But there are those who temporarily can't work. And I want you to use this time to really sit down and heal. I want you to use this time of disease for self-healing. And through self-healing, a global healing process is going to happen. What I might say right now can sound a little bit of controversial, but nothing happens without a reason. And I believe that the universe particularly handpicks those who need to be put in specific circumstances so that they can heal. So if you feel anguish because you can't continue on with your job, that means that you are not supposed to. The universe wants you to stay home and focus on healing right now. If you are still working from home, probably this is what you were supposed to be doing. or as frankly in my case, besides some difficulties in getting groceries, not much has changed for me in the first place, but that's because when everyone was going about their lives in the past, I was already going through my journey of healing, which was a painful and long one. I am already familiar with the process that is now scaring the world globally. But since I am familiar with it, I'm not just going to sit and gloat about it. The reason why I have been given this process before is so that I can give it to you now, in times of crisis where you might feel scared. Which is why I offer personal astrological and tarot readings so that people can feel better through my coaching. And if you indeed want to embark on your own personal journey of healing, then you have all my contact info down below for a personal reading with me, and I'm here to guide you through this difficult time. I'm happy that I can do this for you guys, because when I was going through my healing journey, there was nobody there for me. I was alone, it was just me and the universe. And while this kind of process can, of course, be necessary also, to just feel this connection, this individual accord between you and the universe, it's good to have someone at least give you a few useful pointers. So like I said, I'm here and I offer private readings and coaching sessions in case you need me. So I want you to use this time to break this automated mechanism of quick fixes. We live in a world that tempts us with false promises of quick fixes to complicated solutions. But the truth is that this is a lie that someone financially profits from. However, I think that the current situation is going to put a stop to this. There is no immediate fix for a problem that has taken time to first appear. Then it's going to take at least equally as much time to be solved, or more. In our time, in our age, we don't appreciate things that take time, like cooking, preparation, something that we build slow, continuous efforts towards that then yields wonderful results. We want things now, we want things immediately. But that's because we have been trained to do so. And I think this situation, when you really need to sit down with yourself and take a deep breath, can be a really good moment to appreciate the longevity and the graduality of certain processes in life. This is a really good opportunity for us to slow down, because we are always in a hurry. In a hurry towards what? Towards some fictitious goal that doesn't even exist, because the goal is the journey itself. And if we take this journey full speed with closed eyes, we miss everything that's happening on the road. We are going nowhere. Now, you might be disappointed if you hear that this is the answer, because it doesn't look as rosy as everything that has been promised to you so far. But I can promise you that at least it is true. This is why I started this channel, to speak about the truth of the world. So you're not gonna get any false promises from me, but at least I can tell you that what I offer to you is honest. It's not an immediate fix, but it's the only true solution you will ever get.